keep forgetting the laptop needs a mic. Hi, welcome to today's video. Two things before we get started. First, today's the day before I go and apply for a job. That's a 12-hour, 16, 14-hour long shift that I'll be signing up for 5 to 6 days a week. Really hope I get the 5-day because I don't want to work 6 days. Yeah, this is the day before that. Number two, this will be the last video I create where we wake up early, right? Because you can see it there. It's like 7 a.m. Yeah, it's going to change up a little bit. Not my trade times, but my posting of videos. I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll record what I can when I can. And at the end of every video, I will make an assessment of the length on the video that I've made. And what I'll do is I'll actually post one video at the end of the week comprised of 5 separate videos. End result should be about 2.5 hours-ish for the entirety of the week. So that way all my progress is still being posted. And during the weekend-ish sometime, I'm thinking I'll post each individual, or I could actually do that instead of it being one big video like I was thinking. I'll just post all 5 videos at the end of the week, so that way it's not a matter of ABC missing, and oh, now we're all up front, Anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on, why things are going to be changing up here soon. Yeah. I got to make a video for the Gaming Orb and Orb's Vault, but I'm hesitant to do so because we have a week to go, and there's no telling if I'm going to get that job or not. So, with that being said, heads up, this is your notification that things will be changing around here. Okay? Okay. Separate from that, getting to today's video, we have a chart to look at. Woo! Looking for setup. Most recent one's right here. This fair value gap, that's why it's labeled in pink. We're looking for it to go lower according to this point of control here. We've got on this whole session main point of control, secondary point of control, a lot of volume down low and imbalance in between, and undiscovered price up high, with the fair exception of this imbalance area here. Based on this retest, it'll continue lower. That's what the thought is that based on this fair value gap, this imbalance, and the retest off of these highs, this high, we should see price continue lower. But before it can do that, it's actually got to go high based on my assessment on the lower time frame. Because as you can see here, there's not really much to go on. We just have a fair value gap, which is the starting, like the makings of our setup. But there's a problem. We don't have a low yet. It hasn't created a candle upwards. So, with that being the case, I decided to investigate the 5-minute. 5-minute shows a little bit of an interesting gist. We had a move down. This is the start of that big red candle, the very first one after the move up, right? And it left a fair value gap. And then we had a high that broke past the other highs and is now currently the highest point after that red candle. It's not noted on the higher time frame, but this is the high point that was made from the move down. Now, what we have to do is wait for price to move out of this, hit this high, retest, fail it because it's an imbalance, and then we'll see a large gap form between this and this. And in the end result, hopefully, is that price continues lower. That's the hope. Higher time frame says we've been in recession for a little while now, and that's actually true. That is the case. Even on the 5-minute, we've been moving down slowly over time. SMA, EMA is very indecisive right here, but volumes indicating that price should continue lower, as well as the general move based on higher time frames, as well as the volume here. Obviously, it's got to come back up and retest this imbalance, but once it's done retesting this, it should continue lower. Let's take a look at the news, see what we can see based on it. No news for Monday. That is good. That is good. Let's see. It's this right here. We have no news Tuesday, FOMC for Wednesday, unemployed claims Thursday, and a whole lot of PMI. I think this is CPI and then GDP all throughout the week. That being said, no news, so that's good. Price should continue in its current flow, and I do believe it'll continue downward today. Downward is the direction, and I think it'll continue that way. There's not much else to say, really, outside of my setup is here. It's just not aberrantly visible, and as a result, we're going to take things nice and slow today. I'm going to wait a little bit till after market open to assess based on what I've set up now. So the end result is I can get more sleep, and we have a successful trade as well. That being said, I'll be right back. I'm going to pause the video and everything. I will unpause when I identify a point of entry, like right before I do. And yeah, that'll be what I go with. BRB. I guess I kind of called it. Kinda. We had price move all the way up just towards this imbalance right here. Became very indecisive on where it wanted to go, but ultimately is continuing on down. This is not open candle. We still have another 25 minutes before markets open. Aside from that, we go down to the 5-minute, and as we can see, this fair value gap has been disrespected. The initial thought, I don't know why my PC is all of a sudden heating up like crazy. That's what it is. Hang on, let me see exactly what's happening because it should not be going crazy, especially right now. What was happening? Anyway, it's going in the direction we wanted to, but it has not met our retest level. So I'll be taking a look at alternative methods for getting this to work out for us. I do believe that price will eventually return to its high, but it won't be today. I want to see it continue lower, but I need to reassess my setup. So the end result is relatively the same. We get a decent trade out of it. Same goal, same premise, whole 9 yards. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video again. And I'm going to set up again. So we have a valid point of reference when we go to trade, and our setup is valid throughout. All right, pausing video. BRB. Okay. Working theory, working thought. The gist. Current move is down. That much is definite. We cleared the first fair value gap. We marked the 2 points of control up high. This is current as of right now. The high time frame point of control is up there. That's the primary one. And then this is London sessions point of control here. Price has taken a dip.
how far of a dip? I'm looking at this fair value gap based on volume profile, this right here. We had a big old spike right there, and the volume profile I'm referring to when I'm talking about that is the high time frame stuff, right? So this right here, right? Boom. This is the low off the inbound that it could be targeting, and that's what I'm kind of thinking it is going to get a hold of. But before it hit this, we had a low volume node here as well, I think. No. This was the point of control as well. So it closed this imbalance here and then cleared this fair value gap, hitting this, revisiting this point of control. And then further down, we have low volume node and then low volume node. This one's per Asian session back towards previous session, and then this one is from previous session back even further. I think it's going to continue lower. How much lower? Based on the high time frame and how much time has allotted to just it moving up, I think it's going to move significantly lower. Significantly. Now, on the 5 minute, this is going to change up a little bit. You'll see a bunch of green here, right, with a big old footnote of red. You'll see a little bit of red here, more red, and eventually these two are going to cross. Even on the high time frame, we'll see it continue on lower. We are currently at 9:33. Market has opened for us to attempt a trade, but I am not seeing an entry yet. I want to see an entry. Per recent price action, big old dip, a huge move down. So we could see a retrace first and then a continuance down. But we need to wait until a high is formed, it get retested, and then it proceeds to drop. That is the current working theory, though. My trade is going to be a short today if I do manage to take a trade, and if I don't, it's because I have not seen my setup. I have a fair value gap on the 5 minute, and that's about it. On the hour, it's just one big red candle with no upside yet, and we won't see an upside until the open of 10 candle ish, right? And there's no telling where that's going to go unless we can figure out where it's going now, which all accounts say down. Down is the direction. Now, I had a thought as a backup plan in the event we see price continue low, right? It hit this first take profit zone. My thought process is if we see retrace up in this, right, it'll be the first high. Then we see a second high, roughly within this time frame here. If it's not within this time frame, then I'm not taking a trade. But I want to see a high formed, it get retested, and then it continue on down. Because it has created such a huge move down. Not an imbalance. The imbalance was not created. It was filled. So price now has to rediscover where it's going to go or accept itself into a balance area. Those are the only two outcomes to this. It has to find it. We're in price discovery, pretty much. Because of that, we're looking for an attempt to discover that price and then continue or fail based on what it does. That being the case, there's a little bit for us to wait on. I want to see exactly what happens without much distraction, so I'm pausing literally everything else to focus on this. When I have deemed myself worthy to take a trade, I will go ahead and do just that. I will find an entry point just before it hits. I will unpause the video and yeah, we'll continue from there. According to the MACD, just real quick, just a side note, we're in retrace now for this footnote here. As a result, I'm going to be looking for it to move up, not above the EMA, but close to, and then fail and drop from there. That's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna pause the video now. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry. I don't care about the hat anymore. We have our imbalance area that was just hit from this high right here. This imbalance area is what I'm referring to. On top of that fair value gap, now we're just waiting for one of these two, this high or this low, to get tested. Once it's been had and done, we'll be back into price discovery. Want to see exactly what happens. So again, taking that time, just waiting. I just wanted to unpause quickly, notify what I've been doing, what's happening up to this point. Fair value gap, marked it down, and it's following the same principle on the high time frame. Big old red candle, big old gap and imbalance compared to the two areas with the most volume. Moving to the 5-minute to get real hyper fixated on it, we have a fair value gap here, big old imbalance right here, and a retrace. This retrace was fine and dandy. Now we need to see it continue one more time up to this high. Once it has hit this high and failed a second time, we'll see it move down. Or we could be wrong and it's already tested it. I doubt it has, though. I mean, it's left a lot of room right here for retest. Gotta wait and see for it to happen, though. So yeah, we're currently at 10:14. Want to see exactly what happens. been moving down. Thought process, right? The theory was that it would continue down. It did just that. It continued down based on the imbalance, based on the volume, whole 9 yards. We called it. It moved down. Woo! Why didn't we enter on this? Because it was already moving down when we had called it. Don't jump on a moving train. You'll get smushed. Not good. So now the working theory is we've moved down already. We've created a low, we've created a high. Where does that leave us to go? Either it can consolidate and then move lower, or it can consolidate and then move higher. Because it's created this high and low, we have a range for it to stay within. And a point of control, it can bounce around. Right now, the point of control is up high, right alongside all of the volume. Auction market theory says, where there's enough time and volume buildup at a certain point, price is likely to push through. Well, my strategy takes that with a grain of salt. 99% of the time, market's going to move up and down. It's not just going to move up because of the amount of time and volume. It's a theory. So the thought is, with the grain of salt, 90% of the volume can stay up here, but ultimately we are in need of a retrace. This retrace has to move down far enough to test this low. This entire imbalance from the closures and opens of these two candles all the way down. It's got to go all the way down to here, or within this area, in order for it to be a valid test. If I'm looking at this correctly, the balance area that we're after is like right there. Price has got to move all the way down into that specific spot for it to be a valid retest of a low. That tells us price is going to move high, right? The theory I had before has now been flipped. We're no longer looking for shorts, we're looking for longs. Why? Because we've already moved down. The only thing disproving this and looking for a continuance down is if we retest the high before hitting this low. Per auction market theory, outside of the grain of salt, that would make the most sense. We have a low, we have two highs. We're looking for a high to get retested, disrespected, and then continue lower. That makes the most sense. And so the likelihood of us making a successful trade off a short is high compared to a long trade where the test isn't going to be as quick for validation. Not saying it can't validate via the test of a low and failure, but that the likelihood of it testing the high before the low is more than likely. By comparison, is more than likely. We have a little, from here to here, retrace. From this move up, we have rebound, which is good. SMA is doing its I don't know what I want to do dance. I want to. I feel like I've been a little too strict on it for the time frame. 1030 is the safest bet to get out of a trade or to stay into a trade if it's depending on whether it's going good or not. 1030 is typically the cutoff if I haven't made a trade. That's going by the rules of TJR. I have strayed so far from TJR's strategy, it's funny. It's funny I'm still using this time frame. But I gotta hand it to him. At 9:30, that is where I see the most volume come into play. Now the question becomes, if I were to drop the stoppage at 10:30, because 9:30 is staying right where it is. That's where I'm picking up, starting to trade, figuring out where directions is going, whole 9 yards, because that is where the number one amount of volume I see in my day comes from. That much is a consistent, so I'm sticking with it. The 10:30 though, not so much. It has been very inconsistent when it comes to 10:30 because there are times even after 9:30, volume likes to spike, price likes to move. And so my thought is, if I were to loosen that rein specifically, only on 10:30, just completely remove it. What time frame? What tells me to stop trading? Obviously, a loss. One loss a day is my time to go away. Is destitute to stay away on a loss. Because if one idea is going to be wrong, I don't want to have to risk managing emotions just to de-risk the scenario. So one loss a day, I'm done. Outside of that, what if the trade's good? Obviously, if I hit my final take profit within the time frame, cool, that works. I have no problem with that. I've done that before. I can do it again. What happens if it's good enough to continue beyond 10:30? Do I take more trades after 10:30? Maybe. The account size isn't large enough to say that I can. Maybe when the account size is large enough. It's got to be a good enough trade though. I've got to learn more about point movements. I don't know what pips are enough about pips to understand what they really signify outside of a measurement, right? Because I'm looking at this right here, and I'm thinking this is a dollar sign. This is $6,837.50. This number right here is, but I could very well be wrong about that, and that has been the biggest hindrance, in my opinion, compared that and the whole stoppage at 10:30. Not saying it hasn't been a help in the past, but that feels as though volume still being high gives me room to attempt a trade. And if the move is coming along slow enough and the volume proceeds to drop as a result, I can go ahead and assume, hey, yeah, this right here is going to continue. We're going to keep moving in this direction. Or like we're looking at right now, we could see a retest down low, even though volume is saying, hey, we're going high. We could see that low tested and a complete reversal come into play. I need to learn more about pips, point movements. I need to figure out how to change this right here so I'm not misreading tutorials and stuff. I know that's not a good thing to do, look at tutorials, but to better understand the terminology, I feel like that's where it's going to be at. I feel like I've got some of the core concepts down pat. It's just the intricate details that are a little bit more elusive, complex. Wrapping my head around it sooner would be more beneficial than later. see right here, right now, right? We're about to hit 10:30. My alarm's about to go off telling me to stop trading. And I'm looking at this move going, I just have to wait a little bit longer. Just a little bit. Even if the volume's not there, I could still target either this high or this low because it's going to move beyond one of these two at some point today. And the goal is to have that move understood, entered on, and closed. There's 10:30. There's my alarm. We've got fair value gap up there, fair value gap here, fair value gap here. Everything's saying down is the way to go, with the exception of volume. Volume's the only thing telling me, hey, we're going high. And the move, per my strategy, is also saying high. Why? Because we've made a high, and we're about to make a second low. This second low's retest is the retest we're after. It's going to hit this and either fail and continue up, or continue beyond this and be another fair value gap. Question is where? This is saying we're going low as well. We've got 30 minutes for this candle to close, and that's going to give me a fair value gap here, which says, yeah, we're going to go much lower. So I should be looking for a retest high, not on the 5-minute, but maybe on the 1-minute too. Technically speaking, because this was the high made after the fair value gap, and this is pretty much in line with this, we could have entered up here and watched this move down, and it could continue on down. This could have been the retest we were looking for, instead of looking for a second retest, a third actually, because this was number 2, this is number 1. Sorry, not the hour, it's 5. I think that's what I need to look for. That would make the most sense. Little entrance on the strategy. Find the fair value gap on the high time frame first, or the really big candle that forms on the volume entry, right? Wait for that to close, and then the very next candle, look at exactly what it looks like. Not on the high time frame, because the high time frame is going to be misleading. We're looking for the one big candle. From here, we go to the 5-minute. 5-minute, we mark the one big candle that has the largest fair value gap in it, right? The last one, if we have to. This one I get was part of it, but this was after we had opened market. So, fair value gap here. Look for the next candle in line. If it's a small one like this, cool, go to the 1-minute. If not, wait for one. Wait for a candle like this, or this to pop up. Any of these four would work after the fair value gap. Once one pops up, go to the 1-minute. Mark the high made, the first up-down move high you see. Wait for that high to get retested. Look at the 5-minute. Boom. Wait for that retest. Enter. Claim. I think that would work. The 1-minute's going to be stupid fast, but as you can clearly see, as we are now looking at and recording this, the 5-minute's not as fast. It's actually fairly telegraphed. We moved up. Cool. Was it a retest? For the 5-minute, no, but for the 1-minute, yeah, it was. Yes, it was, in fact, a retest. So we could see price move lower. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. It's moving lower. I'm not going to take a trade today because I'm a little upset at myself that I missed that. The entirety of that move. I could have entered up here, claimed half of what we just saw this right here make, and it's still going lower. Even if it wasn't this target that we were after, we marked it. Like the next available that is going after is this right here, and it's larger. From here down is like from the first point of control we had all the way down to here. That's the same distance covered that it could target. We know based on volume profile over the entire course of today's session and Friday's session that this will easily be the next target prices after. Why am I entering a trade now? Because it's already moved. It's in motion. If we attempted to take this trade, the likelihood of us losing is significantly more than winning. I'm going to end this video now, and I'm going to use that knowledge next time. The fair value gap, 5-minute, small candle, move, high, retest, enter, claim. I'm going to use that next time because I feel like we could have easily gotten a decent trade off of this. And having looked at it and put that note in there now, I think we're good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give a like, subscribe, comment. You know what to do. This video, again, is going to be the last one I make this long, this drawn out. If I make another video, it'll be because I have time to, and I'd like to post that video, right? Just to display the progress. The coming content on this channel, the gaming channel, the Minus channel, the Orbs Vault, Twitch, TikTok, whole 9 yards, is about to change. The amount is about to change. See y'all next time.